Public Protector, you grew up in Bethel, small town in Mpumalanga. How do you think that shaped you in the work you're doing now?
I would say I was born in Bethel, but I never grew up there. I mean, I was still very young when we moved from Bethel to Hammanskraal. From there, I think what shaped me was Mpumalanga in Kwaggafontein, where I grew up, because we moved to Kwaggafontein when I was around 6 years, 7 years.
So in the old Kwandebele?
Kwandebele, yes.
And how did it shape you?
It shaped me because, I mean, I grew up in a rural area, and as well being exposed to poverty and not having all the resources, I mean, water, still gravel roads and stuff like that. So that shaped me in such a way that I would have a lot of passion on uplifting, especially people who are from the far-flung rural areas and from the grassroots.
Who in the world around you made you believe that you could succeed? Get out of school, get into university, get a degree and so on?
It's my mother. I mean, my mother is not educated. In fact, both my parents, my father as well was not educated, was an unskilled laborer. But my mother and father made sure that all of us in the family get education, and we go to school, we acquire the degrees. In fact, I must say that in the family, though I had sisters and brothers older than me, but then I was the first one to acquire a degree. So they also acquired degrees after, because they had to make the young ones at least to have those qualifications.
What made you choose the law?
I chose, in fact, my first preference was I wanted to be a social worker, especially dealing with the social issues or social ills. But then my second preference was the law. And again, being exposed to the law whilst I was still very young. I'm a teenage mother. I was a teenage mother, and there was a stage where I had to go to maintenance court to claim maintenance from the father of my son, firstborn son. So that's what made me also to realize that I would need to help, especially on issues of social justice and making sure that there's access, and as well people benefit from the law.
A job you did before you came here to the Public Protector's Office was as a security analyst at the Social Security Agency. First of all, what does a security analyst do? And secondly, how do you think that might shape the way you approach this job?
You know, I was at the State Security Agency for 3 months because I joined them in July before coming to be, in fact, to being appointed or nominated and appointed as the Public Protector. But then it was very critical also there to understand how critical is for the country to protect your sovereignty. You know, for me, working in Home Affairs for that 20 years, especially in the area of humanitarian and human rights law, because I was dealing a lot with refugees and migrants. And then now you are exposed to the fact that as a country, how do you protect your sovereignty and your constitutionality as an institution? So working there also showed me that, you know, for a state to be protected, in fact, for a state which is the people, the sovereignty, the government, and everyone around there, what areas do we have to make sure that we are protected against?
In the parliamentary conversation about your office, the role of the State Security Agency was raised in a critical context. And just for clarity, what is their role here at the Public Protector's Office? Obviously, where security clearances are required, I would imagine they play a central role. Does their role extend beyond that? And if so, to where?
They don't play a central role. State Security Agency, I mean, is provided for in Chapter 12 of the Constitution, is the constitutional body on its own with the police and the defense. But then what State Security Agency does for all government departments, for all state institutions, is to assist on the making sure that you have the personnel which is vetted. They have security clearance. You have your systems which are secured. Unfortunately, this narrative that people who are working for state security, because there's a civilian part of state security, like
yes.
any public servant, who are working there, who are not spies. Because if you are a spy, you will never be picked up. You
don't
operate
have a badge
underground.
that says spy.
But you operate
Yes.
underground.
Yes.
And again, what I've said to even to my staff, that you need to understand that the current state security agency is bound by the Constitution.
On the subject of security clearances, your deputy, Kevin Malunga, when he applied for the job that you eventually got, the fact that he didn't have security clearance arose as an issue. Has that matter been resolved? Because I understand that you've communicated with the Justice Portfolio Committee head, Matole Matsecha, around issues regarding your deputy. But can you clarify that for us?
That matter has been dealt with, because when I started in this institution, I made sure that everyone who's working here, we have a project of checking that we have security clearances. Even when we advertise our post for the staff of the public protector, that is a key requirement. Everyone has to undergo that.
So Mr. Malunga that's all been sorted out?
He has undergone the security clearance.
Okay, so that's not an issue. Can you share?
Well, it is an issue, because that's where the issue of delegations comes in, which anyway the chairperson will clarify that matter when the time is right.
But are you saying there's certain things that cannot be delegated to Mr. Malunga?
Yes.
And can you share with us why?
No, that's why I am saying to you, at the right time, when the chairperson is revealing all that particular information, it will be clear why certain delegations are delegated and certain delegations are not delegated.
Public Protector, doesn't that place the organization at a degree of risk? You may, and let's hope it never happens, be struck with ill health or be indisposed for a range of reasons. Surely the natural thing is for the Deputy Director to step up.
Well, that's for the Parliament to deal with. It's not within my prerogative. Remember, the Deputy Public Protector is also appointed like the Public Protector through the National Assembly. Yes. And I'm also appointed like that. If anything happens, it's for them to decide what do they do with it.
Wouldn't you say it casts a cloud over the institution when the second most important person here, in effect, cannot be entrusted with certain things?
John, I think that's what I've requested the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee and Parliament to assist on.
But that's clearly, in your view, there's a matter that they must deal with. You can't deal with it yourself. Okay, you're not going to give us any more information about that?
No, they will have to deal with it, because we both report to the National Assembly. But then in terms of the Public Protector Act, I need to delegate certain responsibilities.
And you're saying you can't, as things stand?
Yes, certain. That's why we agreed that we have other needs as an institution to make sure that we need to not be, that doesn't stifle the production of the institution.